The Empire's demand in simple English, written in the third-person style. Part 1. The Empire's demand The year was 2387. Earth had advanced beyond anyone's wildest dreams. Cities floated in the sky, spaceships roamed the stars, and humans had even set foot on planets in other star systems. Yet despite all this progress, humans had stayed out of the affairs of the larger galaxy. They knew of the Galactic Empire, a vast, powerful alliance of many alien species. The Empire ruled with an iron fist, but Earth had always been too small, too unimportant to get involved. That was about to change. One quiet morning, without any warning, the sky over every major city on Earth was filled with enormous alien ships. They were larger than any human spacecraft, stretching across the horizon. The ships hovered silently, casting dark shadows on the ground below. In every city, people stopped what they were doing. Some stared up in awe, others in fear. It was clear. The Galactic Empire had arrived on Earth. Their ships, black and smooth like giant blades, didn't move, didn't make a sound. It was as if they were waiting for something. Inside the United Nations headquarters in New York, chaos erupted. World leaders and military generals gathered quickly in the Situation Room. Everyone was on edge. No one knew what the Empire wanted, but they all feared the worst. At exactly noon, every screen on Earth lit up with the same message. It was a live transmission from one of the alien ships. The image showed an alien with cold, gray skin and sharp, glowing yellow eyes. He stood tall and proud, his long robes shining with the symbols of the Empire. He spoke in perfect English, his voice calm but filled with authority. "I am Lord Kaluk, emissary of the Galactic Empire," the alien said. "Earth has been chosen to join the Empire. But joining comes with a price. You will pay tribute, resources, wealth, and obedience. In return, we will allow you to survive." The room at the United Nations fell silent. Every leader knew what this meant. The Empire wasn't asking for a partnership. They were demanding total submission. Lord Kaluk continued, "You have 1 week to comply. If you refuse, we will destroy your cities and take what we want by force. The Empire does not tolerate defiance." With that, the message ended. The screens went dark, and the alien ships remained hovering in the sky, like vultures waiting for their prey. For a long moment, no one in the room moved or spoke. The weight of the situation pressed down on everyone. The Galactic, Earth's big decision, ***. The message from Lord Kaluk left Earth's leaders in shock. For years, Earth had been advancing, becoming more powerful and connected. Yet, in just a few short minutes, everything changed. The Galactic Empire had arrived, and they weren't here to talk. They were here to demand control. Inside the United Nations headquarters, the atmosphere was thick with fear. The room was filled with world leaders, top scientists, and military generals. Everyone looked to one man, Secretary General Marcus Reed. He was in charge of making the final call on Earth's response. But even he didn't know what to do. No one had expected this. "We need to discuss this calmly," Reed said, standing at the head of the table. "The Empire has given us 1 week to decide. We can't afford to make a mistake." The leaders around the table began to argue almost immediately. "We have no choice," shouted the President of France. "The Empire is far too powerful. We can't stand up to them. If we refuse, they'll destroy us." The Prime Minister of the United Kingdom nodded in agreement. "We don't know what kind of technology they have. They could wipe us out in a single attack. Is it worth risking everything just to resist?" Others in the room, however, were not so easily convinced. General Jack Williams, head of Earth's military forces, slammed his fist on the table. "We can't just roll over and give up our freedom," he growled. "They want to make us slaves, and you're all talking about surrender. Where's your pride?" "We have nuclear weapons," another general added, "and advanced defense systems. We've been preparing for a situation like this for years. We can fight back." But many in the room were doubtful. The Galactic Empire ruled over thousands of planets. Their technology was centuries ahead of anything humans had. Fighting back seemed like a death sentence. Dr. Emily Lai, one of Earth's top scientists, raised her hand. "Let's think this through," she said calmly. "We don't know the full extent of their power. Yes, we have advanced weapons, but they may have defenses that can neutralize everything we throw at them." Secretary General Reed sighed and rubbed his forehead. "So what's the plan then?" "Surrender and hope they treat us kindly." General Williams stood up, his face stern. "I refuse to believe that's our only option. Humans have always fought for their survival, and we've always found a way to win. The Empire doesn't know what we're capable of. If we give in now, we'll lose everything that makes us human." The room went quiet. Williams' words hung in the air, and slowly a few heads began to nod. Reed looked around. "What do we know about the Empire's weaknesses?" he asked. Dr. Lai hesitated before speaking. "Not much," she admitted. "They're secretive. But one thing is clear. They rely on fear. They use threats and intimidation to keep other planets in line. If we can show them that Earth isn't afraid, we might have a chance." Williams agreed. "If we strike first and show them that we're willing to fight, we could force them to back off. They expect us to be scared, to fold at the first sign of danger. But if we hit them hard, they might think twice." The president of Brazil raised an eyebrow. "You're suggesting we attack them? That could start a war we can't win." "It's already a war," Williams said firmly. "The second they showed up in our skies, they declared it. Now it's up to us whether we want to be the victims or fight back." Reed leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. "What's your plan, General?" Williams laid out his strategy. "We hit them with everything we've got. Nuclear missiles, advanced drones, everything. We take out their fleet before they have a chance to react. We'll target their weakest ships and force them to retreat. If we strike first, they'll know we're not easy prey." There was a long pause as the leaders considered the plan. It was risky, no doubt about it, but doing nothing or surrendering seemed even worse. Secretary General Reed finally spoke. "This isn't an easy decision. If we fight, there will be consequences. We could lose millions of lives. But if we surrender, we lose our freedom, our future." Dr. Lai stood. "I don't believe the Empire will show us mercy if we surrender. Their history shows they only care about control. They don't negotiate. If we want to survive, we have to be bold." Reed nodded, the weight of the world on his shoulders. He turned to General Williams. "Prepare the military. Get our defense systems ready. We're going to fight." Williams smiled grimly. "It's the right choice, sir." As the meeting ended, the leaders left the room with heavy hearts. They knew the decision they had made would change the future of Earth forever. Outside, the Empire's ships still hovered ominously, a constant reminder of the threat hanging over them. But inside the military bases across the world, preparations had already begun. Soldiers were armed, missile silos were opened, and Earth's defenses were activated. The countdown had started. In 1 week, the Galactic Empire would expect Earth's surround. 1 week had passed since the Galactic Empire had given their ultimatum. The dark, sleek ships still floated silently above Earth's cities. The people below lived in constant fear, wondering what would happen next. But what they didn't know was that their leaders had already made a choice. Earth was going to fight back. In secret, military bases across the world prepared for war. Generals and scientists worked day and night to put together the best plan to strike the Empire. The hope was simple. If Earth hit them hard enough, maybe the Empire would retreat. The plan was risky, but there was no other choice. At the heart of the plan was General Jack Williams. He had spent his entire career preparing Earth for this kind of moment. Now, everything depended on him. His orders were clear. Strike first, strike fast, and hit them where it hurt. Inside the underground command center, Williams stood in front of a large screen showing the positions of the enemy ships. His face was serious, his eyes fixed on the display. Around him, soldiers and officers worked quickly, following his commands. "Are the missiles ready?" Williams asked, his voice steady. "Ready, sir," replied one of the technicians. Williams nodded. "Good. We hit them at 900 sharp. No delays." The plan was to use Earth's most powerful weapons, nuclear missiles. The Galactic Empire had no idea that Earth had such dangerous weapons. It was the one advantage humanity had. If they could strike the Empire's fleet before they could react, there was a chance the battle could be won. The clock ticked down. 5 minutes to go. Williams glanced at his watch. His heart was steady, though he knew the weight of the world rested on his shoulders. Failure wasn't an option. They had one shot, and it had to count. Finally, the clock hit 0. "Fire the missiles," Williams ordered. Across the world, hidden missile silos opened, and dozens of nuclear warheads shot into the sky. The missiles climbed higher and higher, leaving bright trails behind them. In a matter of seconds, they would reach their targets. On board the Galactic Empire's ships, alarms suddenly blared. The Empire's soldiers scrambled to figure out what was happening. They had been watching Earth closely, but they didn't expect an attack. They assumed humans would surrender. Now, they were caught off guard. Inside one of the Empire's lead ships, Commander Zerl, a tall alien with glowing red eyes, barked orders to his crew. "What is going on?" he demanded. "Commander, the humans. They've launched weapons," one of his officers shouted. Zerl's eyes widened in disbelief. Impossible. They wouldn't dare. But it was too late. The first wave of missiles reached the alien ships, slamming into their shields. For a moment, the shields held, glowing a bright blue as they absorbed the energy. But Earth's nukes were unlike anything the Empire had faced before. The power of the explosions overloaded the shields, and in a matter of seconds, several ships were hit directly. Fire and smoke filled the sky as the massive alien ships were torn apart by the blasts. Pieces of debris rained down on Earth, burning up in the atmosphere. The people on the ground watched in shock and awe as the battle unfolded above them. In the command center, General Williams watched the screen closely. Several of the alien ships had been destroyed, but there were still many left. The Empire's fleet was much larger than Earth had thought. "Prepare the second wave," Williams said calmly. His team worked quickly, launching another set of missiles. This time, the Empire was ready. Their ships moved, dodging the attacks and firing back. Beams of light shot from the alien ships, targeting the missiles in midair. Some of the nukes exploded before they could reach their targets, but a few broke through, hitting more ships. The battle was intense. The Empire's ships were powerful, but Earth's defense systems were stronger than they had imagined. Anti-aircraft missiles, fighter jets, and high-tech lasers worked together to keep the alien fleet at bay. On the ground, people cheered as they saw alien ships falling from the sky. For the first time in days, there was hope. Maybe Earth had a chance after all. But the fight wasn't over. Despite losing several ships, the Empire was far from defeated. The remaining ships regrouped and began a counterattack. Bright, deadly beams shot down toward Earth's military bases, destroying several in a single strike. The ground shook as explosions rocked the planet. In the command center, alarms went off. "We've lost contact with the eastern base," one of the officers shouted. "Damn it," Williams muttered under his breath. He had known this would be a tough fight, but the power of the Empire's weapons was greater than he had expected. "Keep firing," Williams commanded. "We can't let them get any closer." The battle raged on for hours. Earth's forces fought with everything they had, and the Empire's fleet slowly started to weaken. But it wasn't enough. By the end of the day, both sides had suffered heavy losses. As night fell, the alien ships finally retreated, disappearing into the stars. Earth had survived the first battle, but the cost was high. Cities lay in ruins, military bases were destroyed, and millions of people were dead or wounded. In the command center, General Williams stood in silence. He knew the fight was far from over. The Galactic Empire would return, and next time, they wouldn't underestimate Earth. But for now, they had won a small victory. And that gave them hope. This version is packed with action, while keeping the language simple and engaging for read. The Empire Strikes Back. The Unexpected War ****. The victory in the first battle brought Earth hope, but it was short-lived. While people celebrated in the streets, believing they had defeated the Galactic Empire, those in power knew the truth. Earth had only won a small fight. The Empire would come back, and when they did, it would be with a fury the world wasn't ready for. In his underground command center, General Jack Williams stood staring at a massive screen. It showed the wreckage of the Empire's ships that had been destroyed in orbit. While it was a satisfying sight, Williams couldn't relax. He knew the Empire wasn't finished. He had fought too many battles to believe that this war was over. "They'll be back, won't they?" asked Secretary General Marcus Reed, standing next to him. Williams nodded. "Oh, they'll be back. And next time, they won't underestimate us." Reed sighed. "How much time do we have?" Williams didn't answer right away. He studied the data on the screen. The Empire's ships had retreated, but they hadn't gone far. Their sensors had picked up activity on the edge of the solar system. The Empire was regrouping, likely preparing for a full-scale invasion. "Days," Williams finally said. "Maybe a week at most." Reed ran a hand through his graying hair. "We need more time to prepare. We barely survived the first attack. Can we hold off another?" Williams clenched his jaw. "We'll have to." The entire world was on high alert. Military forces were mobilized, and every remaining base was reinforced. Scientists worked around the clock, trying to upgrade Earth's defense systems. They knew that whatever was coming would be much worse than before. On the other side of the galaxy, deep within the Empire's command ship, Commander Zerl was furious. The humans had embarrassed him. His fleet had been decimated by a species the Empire had considered weak and insignificant. But now, he had orders from the Emperor himself. Earth was to be destroyed, its people made an example of. There would be no mercy. "We underestimated them once," Zerl growled to his officers, "but that won't happen again. This time, we bring everything." The Empire's fleet was massive. Thousands of warships, each more powerful than the last, gathered for the attack. The Empire had ruled the galaxy for centuries, and no planet had ever resisted them for long. Earth would be no different, Zerl thought. Back on Earth, General Williams was preparing his forces. He knew what was coming, a full-scale war. It wasn't just about surviving anymore. Now it was about holding the line and showing the galaxy that humans wouldn't bow to anyone. Across the globe, military teams raced to get everything in place. Missile silos were armed, defense shields were strengthened, and fighter jets were fueled and ready. The air buzzed with tension. Everyone knew what was coming, but no one knew if they would survive it. As predicted, the Empire's fleet returned just 3 days later. But this time, it wasn't a small attack force. The sky filled with thousands of ships, blocking out the stars. They came in waves, dark and ominous, their weapons ready to obliterate everything in their path. The people of Earth watched in fear as the ships descended. The once celebratory mood vanished, replaced by cold, hard reality. This was the real battle. The war had truly begun. In the command center, Williams stood tall, his eyes locked on the screens. The Empire had brought more ships than they could have imagined, but Earth wasn't going to back down. "Fire at will," Williams ordered. Across the planet, nuclear missiles launched into the sky once again, their bright trails lighting up the darkness. Earth's defenses kicked into high gear. Lasers, drones, and fighter jets engaged the Empire's ships in a fierce battle. Explosions lit up the atmosphere as the two forces clashed. But the Empire's fleet was too large. For every ship that Earth destroyed, two more took its place. The sky turned into a chaotic war zone, with blasts and explosions echoing through the air. Inside his command ship, Commander Zerl watched with a satisfied smile. The humans were putting up a fight, but it wouldn't be enough. "Send in the heavy cruisers," Zerl ordered. "Break through their defenses." Massive Empire cruisers moved to the front of the fleet, their weapons glowing with energy. They fired down at Earth, targeting military bases and major cities. The ground shook as buildings were obliterated, entire sections of cities wiped out in an instant. "We've lost contact with New York," one of Williams' officers reported, panic in his voice. "And London, it's gone." Williams' heart sank, but he didn't show it. "Keep fighting," he said, his voice calm. "We're not done yet." The battle raged on for hours. Earth's forces fought bravely, but the Empire's fleet was overwhelming. Missile after missile was launched, but the Empire's cruisers pushed forward, breaking through Earth's defenses. Just when it seemed all hope was lost, a sudden breakthrough came. Earth's scientists, working in secret, had developed a new weapon, a powerful energy beam that could penetrate the Empire's shields. It was a desperate move, but it was their last chance. "Activate the energy beam," Williams ordered. From deep underground, a hidden base unleashed the beam, firing it directly at the Empire's largest cruiser. The beam cut through the ship's shields, tearing it apart in a massive explosion. The Empire's forces hesitated for a moment, shocked by the unexpected attack. But it wasn't enough to turn the tide. The Empire still had too many ships, and Earth's forces were running out of resources. As the battle continued, General Williams knew one thing. The war had only just begun. Earth had survived another day, but the fight for their planet was far from over. The Great Invasion ****. The sky was dark, filled with the shadow of thousands of alien ships. Earth had seen many battles, but nothing like this. This was the Great Invasion, the Galactic Empire's final push to take over the planet. Every city, every town, and every military base was under attack. In the underground command center, General Jack Williams stood at the front of the room, his eyes fixed on the screen in front of him. Red markers showed where the Empire's ships had already landed. The invasion had begun. "We've lost contact with the Western Defense Command," one of his officers reported, his voice tense. Williams knitted grimly. He had expected this. The Empire wasn't playing games anymore. They had sent their full force to crush Earth, and the planet's defenses were quickly being overwhelmed. "Tell all units to hold their positions," Williams ordered. "We can't afford to lose any more ground." The battle on the ground was fierce. In cities across the globe, soldiers fought desperately to defend against the Empire's massive war machines. The alien invaders were unlike anything Earth had seen before. Tall, armored soldiers with glowing weapons marched through the streets, destroying everything in their path. Their ships hovered above, firing energy beams that leveled entire blocks. But Earth's forces fought back with everything they had. Tanks, drones, and heavily armed soldiers engaged the enemy in brutal street battles. Earth's armies knew they were outnumbered, but they weren't going to give up without a fight. In New York City, Captain Sarah O'Connor led her squad through the burning streets. Buildings had been reduced to rubble, and the air was thick with smoke. Alien troops marched toward them, their energy weapons lighting up the night. "We have to hold this line," O'Connor shouted over the noise of explosions. Her soldiers took cover behind the wreckage of a destroyed tank and opened fire. Their bullets pinged off the armor of the alien soldiers, but some found weak spots, bringing a few down. The aliens responded with devastating force, their weapons tearing through concrete and steel like it was paper. O'Connor ducked as an energy beam sliced through the building behind her, sending debris flying everywhere. "We're not going to last long here," one of her men shouted, panic creeping into his voice. "We hold the line." O'Connor yelled back, "We don't retreat." Across the city, similar battles were being fought. In London, Paris, Beijing, and countless other places, Earth's soldiers and civilians fought side by side. It was a fight for survival, a last stand against the overwhelming power of the Empire. Back at the command center, Williams received report after report of cities falling under attack. The Empire had spread its forces across the entire planet, making it nearly impossible to mount an effective defense. How long can we hold them off? Secretary General Marcus Reed asked, standing next to Williams. Williams shook his head. Not long. The Empire's forces are too strong. We need reinforcements, but there's nowhere left to call for help. Reed's face was pale. Is this the end? Williams didn't answer right away. He looked at the screen again, seeing the destruction unfold. The truth was hard to accept, but it was clear. Earth was losing. We're not done yet, Williams finally said, his voice firm. We've still got one last card to play. Reed frowned. What do you mean? Williams turned to his officers. Prepare Operation Phoenix. There was a stunned silence in the room. Operation Phoenix was a top-secret plan, one that only a handful of people knew about. It was Earth's last resort, a massive counterattack designed to cripple the Empire's forces. Sir, are you sure? One of the officers asked, his voice shaky. Operation Phoenix is. It's risky. I know, Williams said, his face hard. But it's the only chance we have. If we don't do something now, Earth will fall. Operation Phoenix involved launching Earth's most powerful weapons, nuclear warheads combined with a new energy technology developed by Dr. Emily Lai. These weapons could potentially disrupt the Empire's ships and disable their ground forces. But the plan came with a cost. It would cause massive destruction, and there was no guarantee it would work. Reed hesitated. If we launch Phoenix, we'll be risking millions of lives. Williams met his gaze. We're already losing millions of lives. This is the only way to save what's left. Reed took a deep breath, then nodded. Do it. Williams turned to his officers. Launch Phoenix. Across the globe, hidden silos opened, and Earth's most advanced weapons were prepared for launch. At the same time, teams of scientists activated the new energy fields, designed to disrupt the Empire's ships. It was a dangerous gamble, but there was no other choice. As the countdown began, Williams watched the screen, his heart pounding in his chest. This was it, Earth's last stand. The missiles launched, streaking into the sky toward the Empire's ships. At the same time, the energy fields were activated. A bright light spread across the planet, reaching into the atmosphere and surrounding the alien ships. For a moment, everything went silent. Then the missiles hit. Explosions ripped through the sky as the warheads detonated. The energy fields pulsed, and the alien ships began to falter. Their shields flickered, and several of the massive cruisers began to break apart, crashing down to the ground in flames. The alien ground forces were also affected. Their weapons powered down, leaving them vulnerable to Earth's counterattacks. In the cities, Earth's soldiers took advantage of the chaos, pushing the aliens back. In the command center, cheers erupted as the first wave of the Empire's ships was destroyed. But Williams wasn't celebrating yet. He knew the battle wasn't over. We've crippled their forces, he said, his voice calm but determined. But the Empire is still out there. This war isn't finished. A new hope, asterisk, asterisk. The bright light of the explosions had faded, leaving behind a charred and smoking battlefield. Earth had suffered immense losses, but the Empire's advance had been halted. The alien ships that had once filled the sky were now burning wrecks, and the ground was littered with the remains of their forces. It was a hard-fought victory, but a victory nonetheless. In the command center, General Jack Williams looked over the damage reports. The situation was grim, but there was a glimmer of hope. Operation Phoenix had done more than just slow down the Empire. It had given Earth a fighting chance. Williams turned to Secretary General Marcus Reed, who had been anxiously waiting for an update. "The initial reports are promising," Williams said. "We've managed to push the Empire back. For now, at least." Reed let out a breath he didn't realize he was holding. "How much of their fleet did we actually destroy?" Williams checked the data again. "We took out at least 60% of their ships. The energy fields disrupted their technology, which gave us an opening. But we need to act quickly while they're still recovering." Reed nodded, his face lined with both relief and exhaustion. "What's the plan?" "We need to keep the pressure on them," Williams said. "They're regrouping, and we have to prevent them from launching another full-scale assault. We'll need to mobilize all remaining forces and take advantage of their disarray." Dr. Emily Lai, who had been working in the background, stepped forward. "We've made some progress with the new energy technology," she said. "We think we can use it to build stronger defenses and counter their attacks more effectively." Williams looked at her with hope. "How soon can we implement these improvements?" Lai glanced at her watch. "Within 48 hours. We'll need that time to set up and test everything, but it could make a big difference." As the team worked to fortify Earth's defenses, the world outside began to see signs of recovery. People emerged from their shelters, their faces a mix of fear and hope. They saw the destruction left by the Empire, but also the signs of resistance. It was clear that Earth wasn't defeated yet. In the war-torn cities, recovery efforts began. Volunteers and military personnel worked together to clear debris, treat the wounded, and rebuild what had been lost. The spirit of humanity shone brightly amid the chaos. Despite the odds, people were determined to rebuild and fight for their future. On the battlefield, Earth's soldiers were more motivated than ever. The recent victory had given them a renewed sense of purpose. They were fighting not just for survival, but for the hope of a better tomorrow. Captain Sarah O'Connor, who had survived the battle in New York, rallied her troops. "We've shown them that we're not going down without a fight," she shouted. "We've pushed them back, and now it's time to push them even further. They came here expecting an easy victory, but they're going to find out that we're not so easy to defeat." Her words were met with cheers and applause. The soldiers, despite their fatigue, were ready to continue the fight. They were fighting for their homes, their families, and their future. Meanwhile, the Empire was reeling from the unexpected setback. Commander Zyril, who had watched his fleet suffer heavy losses, was enraged. His once proud fleet had been reduced to a fraction of its former strength, and the humans were showing more resilience than he had ever imagined. "Those humans are more dangerous than we thought," Zyril growled to his officers. "They've managed to turn the tide against us, and we need to rethink our strategy." The Empire's leaders were furious. They had expected a quick and easy victory, but Earth's unexpected resistance had thrown a wrench into their plans. They began to debate their next move, trying to find a way to regain control. Back on Earth, the recovery and preparation continued. The new energy defenses were set up, and the military forces were reorganized. Every available resource was put into strengthening Earth's position and preparing for the next phase of the war. As the days went by, the hope that had been rekindled began to grow. The once distant dream of victory started to feel more attainable. Earth was no longer just surviving. It was actively fighting back and taking the initiative. General Williams stood on the balcony of the command center, looking out at the city below. The sky was still scared from the recent battle, but there were signs of life and hope. People were working together to rebuild, and the military was preparing for the next phase of the conflict. Williams knew that the war was far from over. The Empire would not give up easily, and Earth would need to stay vigilant. But for the first time since the invasion began, there was a real sense of optimism. He turned to Reed, who had joined him on the balcony. "We've done well so far. We've shown that we can fight back and survive. Now we need to build on that success and keep pushing forward." Reed nodded, his face showing a mixture of weariness and determination. "We've come a long way. Let's make sure that we use this opportunity to its fullest." As the sun set over the damaged but resilient world, There was a new sense of determination in the air. The great invasion had shaken Earth to its core, but it had also awakened a fighting spirit. The people of Earth had found hope amid the darkness, and they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The battle was far from over, but the first step had been taken. Earth had fought back against the Empire and had shown that it would not surrender. With hope renewed and defenses strengthened, the fight for survival continued, and the possibility of victory seemed closer than ever before. Earth's counterattack ****. After the recent battles, Earth was a planet scared by conflict but determined to fight back. The initial shock of the Great Invasion had worn off, replaced by a steely resolve to turn the tide. General Jack Williams and his team knew that to push the Empire back, they needed a bold and well-coordinated counterattack. The time had come to show the Empire that Earth was not just a place to conquer, but a force to be reckoned with. In the command center, Williams stood before a large screen showing a map of the remaining Empire fleet. The recent destruction had significantly weakened their forces, but they were still formidable. Earth's new energy defenses were ready, and the plan for the counterattack was set. "All right, team," Williams said, addressing his officers and advisors. "We've managed to recover and regroup. Now it's time to strike back. We need to hit the Empire where it hurts and make sure they know they can't push us around." Dr. Emily Lai, standing beside him, added, "Our new energy weapons are fully operational. We've also integrated them with our existing defense systems. This should give us a significant advantage." Williams nodded. "Good. Let's make the most of it. The Empire's fleet is still recovering from our last attack. If we hit them hard now, we can force them to retreat." The plan was daring. Earth's forces would launch a series of coordinated strikes against the Empire's remaining ships. The attacks would target their command ships, supply vessels, and any other critical targets. The goal was to disrupt their operations and cripple their ability to wage war. As the hours ticked down, military units across the globe prepared for the counterattack. Fighter jets were loaded with advanced missiles, drones were programmed for precision strikes, and ground forces readied themselves for coordinated assaults. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation and determination. In the early hours of the next day, the first wave of Earth's counterattack began. The sky lit up as missiles and energy beams streaked toward the Empire's ships. The Empire's fleet, caught off guard by the sudden assault, scrambled to respond. Defensive shields flared and exploded, but Earth's weapons were more advanced than before. The attacks breached the shields, hitting several ships directly. On the command ship of the Empire's fleet, Commander Zeral's eyes widened in shock. "What is happening?" he demanded, staring at the screen showing the incoming attacks. "Commander, we're being hit hard," one of his officers reported. "Our shields are failing." Zeral's anger flared. "Counterattack. Send every available ship to defend the fleet." The Empire's remaining ships quickly engaged Earth's forces. The space around them erupted in a chaotic dance of explosions and energy beams. Earth's fighter jets weaved through the debris, targeting the Empire's ships with precision. Ground forces launched attacks on any remaining Empire positions, pushing them back and reclaiming lost territory. In New York City, Captain Sarah O'Connor led her squad through the wreckage. They had just received word that the Empire's command ship was vulnerable. This was their chance to strike a decisive blow. "Let's move," O'Connor ordered. Her team moved swiftly through the damaged city, their weapons ready. They reached a vantage point overlooking the Empire's remaining command ship, which was heavily damaged but still operational. The team set up their heavy weapons and prepared to fire. As they did, Earth's new energy weapons activated, sending powerful beams toward the Empire's ships. The command ship's shields flared and then shattered under the assault. "This is it," O'Connor shouted. "Target the command ship's core." With a synchronized effort, the squad unleashed a torrent of firepower at the core of the command ship. The ship groaned under the strain, and a massive explosion erupted from within. The command ship broke apart, sending debris raining down onto the battlefield. The loss of the command ship sent shockwaves through the Empire's fleet. Ships wavered and faltered as their coordination broke down. Earth's forces took advantage of the chaos, pressing the attack and pushing the Empire's remaining ships further back. Back at the command center, Williams watched the battle unfold. The initial reports were promising. The Empire's fleet was in disarray, and Earth's counterattack was proving effective. But Williams knew better than to relax. The Empire was not defeated yet. "Keep the pressure on them," Williams ordered. "We need to make sure they don't regroup. We push until they retreat." The battle continued for hours, with Earth's forces maintaining their offensive. The Empire's ships struggled to defend against the relentless attacks. One by one, their vessels were destroyed or driven away. Finally, as the sun began to set, the remaining Empire ships turned and fled. The sky cleared as the last of the alien ships vanished into the darkness of space. The battle was over, but the cost had been high. In the command center, there was a moment of silence as the reports came in. Earth had achieved a significant victory. The Empire's fleet had been driven back, and their command structure was in ruins. Williams turned to his team, his face reflecting a mixture of relief and exhaustion. "We've done it. We've pushed them back and made them pay for their invasion." Reed, standing beside him, nodded. "It's a huge step forward, but there's still much work to be done. We need to rebuild and prepare for whatever comes next." Williams looked out at the world beyond, now scared but hopeful. "We've shown them that Earth won't be an easy conquest. We've taken back our planet, and we'll continue to fight for our future." As the dust settled and the world began to recover from the battle, there was a renewed sense of determination. Earth had fought back against the Empire and had made its stand. The fight was far from over, but the victory had given humanity hope and a chance to reclaim their world. The Empire falls ****. The days following Earth's successful counterattack were filled with a new kind of tension. The battle had given humanity a significant advantage, but the war was not yet over. General Jack Williams and his team knew that the Empire was still a powerful force, and they needed to act quickly to capitalize on their victory. In the command center, Williams and his officers studied the latest reports. The Empire's fleet was in retreat, but they were regrouping and preparing for another assault. The opportunity to end the war was at hand, but it had to be seized quickly. "We've pushed them back, but they're still a threat," Williams said, his voice steady. "We need to strike now while they're vulnerable." Dr. Emily Lai, who had been instrumental in Earth's recent successes, nodded. "Our new energy weapons and defense systems are working well. We should use them to launch a decisive attack on their remaining forces." The plan was straightforward but risky. Earth's forces would launch a series of coordinated strikes against the Empire's remaining strongholds. The goal was to destroy the remaining ships, capture or eliminate their key leaders, and force a total surrender. As the final preparations were made, Earth's military forces readied themselves for the largest operation of the war. Fighter jets were fueled, missiles were loaded, and troops were positioned for the assault. The air was charged with anticipation and determination. At dawn, Earth's forces launched their assault. Fighter jets streaked across the sky, targeting the Empire's remaining ships with precision. Ground forces moved in on key positions, using their advanced weapons to take out enemy defenses. The battle was fierce, but Earth's forces were well prepared and determined. In the midst of the chaos, Commander Zirl, the Empire's top leader, looked out from his command ship. His face was etched with frustration and worry. "How are we losing ground so quickly?" he demanded. One of his officers replied, "Their new weapons are more effective than we anticipated. We're struggling to keep up with their pace." Zirl's anger flared. "Retaliate. Deploy every available ship and reinforce our defenses. We can't let them break through." Despite Zirl's orders, the Empire's forces were in disarray. The recent losses had taken a toll on their morale and coordination. Earth's forces pressed the attack with relentless determination. Captain Sarah O'Connor, who had been leading her squad in the ongoing battle, received orders to target the Empire's remaining command ship. This was their chance to deliver a final, crushing blow. "We have to take down their command ship," O'Connor said to her team. "It's our best chance to end this." Her squad moved swiftly through the battlefield, evading enemy fire and using their advanced weapons to clear a path. They reached the command ship, which was heavily defended but showing signs of weakness. O'Connor's team set up their heavy weapons and began their assault. Energy beams and missiles struck the command ship, hitting its weak points. The ship's shields flared and then gave way under the relentless attack. Inside the command ship, Zerl watched in horror as his flagship began to break apart. "Prepare for evacuation," he ordered, but it was too late. The ship was on the brink of destruction. As the command ship erupted in flames, the remaining Empire ships began to retreat. The coordinated strikes by Earth's forces had taken their toll, and the once mighty Empire fleet was in chaos. Williams turned to Reed, who had been anxiously waiting for news. "We've done it. The Empire has been defeated." The victory was not immediate, but it was decisive. The Empire's forces, now leaderless and demoralized, withdrew from the battlefield. Earth's forces pressed their advantage, ensuring that no remnants of the Empire remained to regroup or counterattack. Back at the command center, Williams and his team watched the final reports come in. The Empire's fleet had been defeated, their command structure dismantled. The war was coming to an end. Williams turned to Reed, who had been anxiously waiting for news. "We've done it. The Empire has been defeated." Reed, his face showing a mix of relief and disbelief, nodded. "It's over. We've won." Williams looked out at the world beyond. The damage was extensive, but the spirit of humanity was unbroken. The victory had been hard-won, but it had brought with it a sense of hope and renewal. In the aftermath of the battle, Earth began the process of rebuilding. Cities that had been devastated by the conflict started to recover. People worked together to repair their homes, restore their communities, and rebuild their lives. The defeat of the Empire marked a turning point for humanity. The world had faced a powerful and ruthless enemy, and it had emerged victorious. The lessons learned from the conflict would shape the future, as Earth worked to ensure that such a threat would never arise again. As the days turned into weeks, the sense of relief and triumph grew. Earth had shown that it could stand against even the most formidable foes and emerge victorious. The fight had been long and hard, but humanity had proven its strength and resilience. Williams stood on the balcony of the command center, watching the sun rise over a recovering world. The future was uncertain, but for the first time in a long while, there was a sense of peace and hope. The Empire had fallen, and Earth had prevailed. The war was over, and humanity could begin the long process of healing and rebuilding. It was a new beginning, and with it came the promise of a brighter future. A new era for Earth ***. With the fall of the Empire, Earth was finally at peace. The once devastated world was now beginning the long journey of recovery and rebuilding. The war had left its mark, but it had also brought humanity together in ways never before seen. As the dust settled, people from all corners of the globe looked forward to a new era. General Jack Williams stood in the command center, now transformed from a hub of war into a symbol of hope and renewal. The building, once filled with the sounds of battle and strategy, now echoed with plans for the future. The walls were adorned with maps showing the progress of reconstruction and charts of new initiatives. Williams looked out of the large windows, where the sun rose over a city still scared but bustling with activity. The sight of people working together to repair their homes and communities was a powerful reminder of what had been achieved. Secretary General Marcus Reed joined Williams, a thoughtful expression on his face. "We've come a long way," Reed said. "The victory was hard-earned, but it's given us a chance to rebuild and create a better future." Williams nodded, We have the opportunity to make a real difference. We need to focus on rebuilding not just our cities, but also our way of life. The war has shown us the strength we have when we work together. Dr. Emily Lai, who had been instrumental in developing the new technologies that played a crucial role in the war, was also present. She was busy overseeing the integration of the new energy systems into civilian infrastructure. Our new technologies are going to help us in many ways, Lai said. They can power our cities, improve our defenses, and even aid in rebuilding efforts. The atmosphere was one of cautious optimism. The immediate focus was on repairing the damage caused by the conflict. Teams worked around the clock to clear debris, restore essential services, and rebuild infrastructure. Temporary shelters were set up for those who had lost their homes, and aid was distributed to communities in need. In the days that followed, there was a sense of unity and purpose. Volunteers from around the world came together to help with the recovery efforts. People worked side by side, regardless of their nationality or background, to rebuild their world. The shared experience of the war had forged strong bonds between nations, and there was a collective determination to make things right. In Washington, D.C., a global summit was held to discuss the future. Leaders from different countries, who had once been adversaries, now gathered to work together. The summit focused on creating a new framework for international cooperation and ensuring that such a devastating conflict would never happen again. At the summit, General Williams addressed the assembled leaders. The war has taught us valuable lessons about our strengths and our weaknesses. We must use these lessons to build a future where peace and cooperation are paramount. We need to invest in each other, not just in our technology, but in our relationships. The leaders agreed on several key initiatives. They decided to create an international organization dedicated to monitoring and preventing future conflicts. They also pledged to work together on scientific and technological advancements that would benefit all of humanity. The goal was to ensure that the progress made during the war would lead to a better future for everyone. Back on Earth, the rebuilding process continued with renewed vigor. Cities that had been reduced to rubble were gradually being reconstructed. New buildings were designed to be more resilient, incorporating the latest technology and sustainable practices. The focus was on creating communities that were not only functional but also thriving. Education and research became priorities as well. The scientific advancements made during the war were now being used to improve daily life. New medical treatments, energy solutions, and environmental technologies were developed to address some of the world's most pressing issues. Captain Sarah O'Connor, who had become a symbol of courage and resilience, was involved in organizing community outreach programs. She traveled to different cities, sharing her experiences and encouraging others to contribute to the recovery efforts. Her story inspired many and reminded people of the strength they had shown during the war. As the months passed, Earth began to recover. The scars of the conflict were still visible, but they served as a reminder of the challenges overcome and the progress made. The world was no longer just a place of survival, but a place of growth and hope. The end of the war marked the beginning of a new era. Humanity had faced its darkest hour and emerged stronger and more united. The future was uncertain, but it was filled with possibilities. The lessons learned during the conflict had shaped a new vision for the world, one where peace, cooperation, and innovation were the cornerstones of a brighter future. General Williams stood on the balcony of the command center, looking out over a world that was slowly but surely healing. The sky was clear, and the sun shone brightly over the recovering cities. The future was no longer a distant dream but a tangible reality. Earth had faced its greatest challenge and had come through it with newfound strength and unity. As the world moved forward into this new era, the hope was that the mistakes of the past would not be repeated. Instead, humanity would embrace the opportunities of the future and work together to create a world where peace and prosperity could thrive for generations to come.